Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better life. Just know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. Can mine, can mine. God can mine your energy. That's right. How can mine say? Only you can make the change. How can mine shine your head at you? How can mine shine so bright from darkness to light. Hey, 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 hey. From darkness to light. Yeah, and you'll find your way out. Yeah, yeah, oh, it won't seem way out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The power of God will flow through you from way out.
All right. So here is the question. When a political figure calls for a live hearing, is it transparency or is it strategy? If Hillary Clinton goes live under oath, it wouldn't just be about testimony. It would be about narrative control, optics, and power. So let's break down what this really actually means. She's calling for a public hearing, a live hearing in front of the entire world, and it is going to be juicy. In this current climate, you know, you got Iran talking about nuclear war. You have all these different things going on. It's just a spectacle going on. You know, you have Russia, Putin talking about like there was a lie about Europe, about people saying that he's trying to take over Europe. He said that that's a lie. So with all these different things going on, you got the Epstein files in the middle of it, kind of like taking the shadow off of all the things going on, you know, the rumors of war and all this other stuff, you know. Well, how significant is it what Hillary Clinton's talking about when she says that she wants a live hearing? We're going to like watch a few videos. We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to get into our open panel that we always do. Let's go into her BBC interview where she discussed her want for a live hearing under oath.
Presidential candidate Hillary Clinton says she believes Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and anyone with any information about the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein should testify before Congress. In a BBC interview, Mrs. Clinton also said she and her husband, Bill Clinton, want their forthcoming testimony about Epstein to be public. The couple had previously refused to testify to the Epstein inquiry and were threatened with contempt proceedings. Former President Bill Clinton appears several times in the Epstein files that were released by the US Justice Department last month. Mr. Clinton knew Epstein, but has denied having any knowledge he was a sex offender and says he cut off contact with him 2 decades ago. Bill Clinton will appear in Congress for a deposition on the 27th of February, and Hillary Clinton is set to appear the day before. Our Europe correspondent Jessica Parker sat down with Mrs. Clinton.
Hillary Clinton, thank you for talking to BBC News. I want to start off talking about the case of Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. You say you never met Jeffrey Epstein. Clearly, your husband did know him. The former president says he knew him before his crimes came to light. But there are also associations with Ghislaine Maxwell, including in 2013 when she was a guest at a Clinton Global Initiative event, years after allegations had emerged against her. What I want to know is, do you regret the links that there have been between Epstein, Maxwell, and the Clinton family?
Well, let me start by saying that a law was passed in Congress to require that all the files that have anything to do with them be released. And what we're seeing, I think it's fair to say, is a continuing cover-up by the Trump administration. In fact, when the Attorney General testified last week, it was quite a scene because she refused to answer questions. She diverted attention away from the matters at hand. She refused to look at the survivors. So there's something about this administration's attitude toward this, which I think really leads us to conclude they have something to hide. We don't. We have been willing to say whatever we know. We've even done it under oath. But they want us to testify, not everyone else who's mentioned many, many times, hundreds of thousands of times in these files. So we've said, fine, let us do it in public. And we will appear in public and we'll answer all your questions.
And we'll get to that in just a moment. But just to be clear, do you regret the links that there have been?
You know, we have no links. We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about, which my husband has said. He took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him.
Did you ever meet
in
Ghislaine
fact,
Maxwell?
I did on a few occasions, and thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So it to me is not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about. They are accused, and in both cases were convicted of horrific crimes against girls and women. That should be the focus. And we are more than happy to say what we know, which is very limited and totally unrelated to their behavior or their crimes. And we want to do it in public.
Why do you think that the Trump administration does not want them to do this in public? It sounds, from what I'm hearing, is that they don't want her to do this in public. But I guess they're not going to be able to stop it because I think it's going on, it's happening. But why do you think that people don't want them to actually testify in public? What is that about?
Because let's make this transparent. The survivors deserve that. The public deserves that. But, you know, the Republican member of Congress who is running this hearing or this investigation is trying to protect the president. So let's get to what's really at stake here.
Just on this hearing, and obviously I'm sure Donald Trump and his administration would reject your characterization of what's going on, and he's denied
How
any
can they
wrongdoing.
reject it? They
But
can't answer questions. And the Attorney General was clearly unwilling to answer questions. She works for him. So let's be very clear here. According to what we now know, Mr. Trump, President Trump, is mentioned, some say, 1 million times in.
How many times? Does anybody know how many times President Clinton is mentioned in the Epstein? Let me look that up. How many times is he mentioned? Because I think everybody's going on how many times somebody was mentioned. It's like, well, what did they do though? How many times is Bill Clinton mentioned in the Epstein files? Okay. Okay, so it says, while his name appears frequently, the documents unsealed as early as 2024 do not contain any allegations of illegal conduct by Clinton. And that's from ABC News. Okay. Representatives for Clinton stated that he cut ties with Epstein in 2005 and was unaware of his crimes. So I think that what's happening is that whenever your name is mentioned, they automatically assume that you did something wild. But I think that what happens is that, you know, somebody might mention I took a flight with somebody, and then all of a sudden you get lumped into the category. Because Michael Jackson was mentioned, and from what I found out is that he was actually trying to save and help the kids and stuff like that. That was going on. Probably why he made Healed the World and all that different stuff like this, and was talking about kids all the time. Trying to like give us a hint of what's going on. Let's go.
The files. People in his cabinet are mentioned. That's what it says, you know, on the internet over and over again. So let's find out what the truth is. That's why we want it to be transparent and in public.
On that, your upcoming appearance before the Oversight Committee, where are we with that? You want to appear in public versus closed door deposition. Is it going ahead, and how? What is the format going to be?
We will show up, but we think it would be better to have it in public, because what we want is for everybody to get to the facts about this. We have nothing to hide. We have called for the full release of these files repeatedly. We think sunlight is the best disinfectant. Get the files out. They are slow walking it. They are redacting the names of men who are in it. They are stonewalling legitimate requests from members of Congress. That has nothing to do with us. Something is going on. They know it. I know it. If they're going to have me testify, I would prefer to do it in public because I want everybody to see it at the same time. If I have to do it behind closed doors, they're not going to like what I have to say because I have very strong opinions about what it is they're hiding and who they are protecting.
Wow. It looks like they're trying to do a private hearing. I don't know how far this is going to go, like with this public thing. But recently, she also accused the Democrats are accused of adopting a more moderate message. And this was Fox News for those that say I'm always only pushing the Democrat platform. Let's go.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton seeming to take a stronger stance on border security. She said this at the Munich Security Conference.
There is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people, and how we're going to have a strong family structure, because it is at the base of civilization.
Let's bring in Guy Benson, host of The Guy Benson Show on Fox Radio. Wanted to get your take on that. She's sometimes been more in the middle in her party when it comes on immigration. To me, it's not so much that she's changed, but the rest of the party has shifted much to the left, especially the younger folks.
Yeah, you look at the Clinton era Democrats, and they sound like right-wing conservatives on the issue of illegal immigration. Even Barack Obama, when he was running for office and was president, he sounds like someone who'd be totally rejected by the left wing of the party today. I'm not sure, Dana, that these are true believers, right? That they actually think that we need to really toughen up the borders and throw in a few adjectives like humane. I think they recognize that they need to say these things and deliver less chaotic results for the electorate for the purpose of winning elections and gaining power. Now, that's a question of motives. It's impossible to know what's happening in her heart. I just didn't see her making comments like this publicly when her party was in charge, when this was spinning out of control.
Right.
Then Trump ran on this, won on this. Suddenly, she's got a message for the world.
President Obama also made a lot of news this week, and let's just pick this one, and that was on dealing with homelessness.
Morally, ethically speaking, it is an atrocity that in a country this wealthy, we have people just on the streets. But we should also recognize that the average person, doesn't want to have to navigate around a tent city in the middle of downtown. We're not going to be able to generate support for it if we simply say, you know what, it's not their fault, and so they should be able to do whatever they want, because that's a losing political strategy.
Do you think that Gavin Newsom would pick up on that?
I think Gavin Newsom will pick up on anything that he wants to in order to win, right? And he will reshape himself. He is this shape-shifting character, even week to week, based on what he thinks people want to hear. And notice the last few words of that little mini lecture from Barack Obama. And I don't totally disagree with what he said, but he said this is a losing electoral proposition. It's about campaigns, winning or losing. I think what the Hillarys, Obamas, and others of the world, they want their party to win elections by doing what, for example, Democrats in Virginia, like Abigail Spanberger, did. Talk a good game from sort of the center left, emphasize affordability, sound very sensible and somewhat moderate, and then win all the power, and then go hard left and implement whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
that's
she's
the
been
model.
a mystery.
But I think nationally they feel like, that's what I'm saying. Yes, step one is winning the election. Step two is all the left-wing stuff that they want to do. So if they've got to fool people, bamboozle people in the process to get their votes, so be it.
It reminds me of the Jonah Goldberg book, Liberal Fascism, from maybe like, what was that, 15, 16, 18 years ago, in which he said something like that they're very patient. President Obama also said this about needing to have younger candidates.
There is an element of, at some point, you age out. you're not connected directly to the immediate struggles that folks are going through. Democrats do well when we have candidates who are plugged into the moment, to the zeitgeist, to the times, and the particular struggles that folks are thinking about as they look towards the future rather than look backward toward the past.
Guy, one of the things that you're looking at on both sides of the aisle, there are some lawmakers who are quite up there. If you look at both in the House and the Senate, well into their 80s and their 90s, and President Obama warning the Democrats, like, you got to look a little bit younger, folks.
Yeah, I wonder if he's talking about Zohran Mamdani, who he reportedly called during the campaign, said, I'm very impressed with your campaign. Let me help you. Let me be a sounding board. He was just talking about the homelessness issue. How many people froze to death in the last month in Mamdani's New York City? Is that the type of youth Obama's looking for?
Right. Guy Benson, full of answers. I'm sure we'll be listening to you later today on the radio and everywhere else where we can find you. Guy Benson, thank you. Have a good week.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News page.
All right, so y'all done heard from Fox News, whatever that was. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know. People always say, but you only focused on the left news, but that was boring as hell. Like, bro, I don't know. I'm sorry. Let's get into Hillary Clinton again.
The Trump administration of a cover-up over its handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Clintons are set to testify later this month as part of the House's probe into the convicted sex offender. Hillary Clinton sat down with our partners at BBC News to speak about the investigation.
Get the files out. They are slow walking it. They are redacting the names of men who are in it. They are stonewalling legitimate requests from members of Congress. That has nothing to do with us. Something is going on. They know it. I know it. If they're going to have me testify, I would prefer to do it in public because I want everybody to see it at the same time. If I have to do it behind closed doors, they're not going to like what I have to say because I have very strong opinions about what it is they're hiding and who they are protecting.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more on this. Natalie, former Secretary Clinton there seems to be coming out swinging, not holding anything back. How is the White House responding?
Yeah, President Trump was asked about this interview on Air Force One while returning to Washington, D.C. last night, and he argued that he's been totally exonerated by the release of the files. Take a listen to more of what he had to say.
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated.
Now, recall that in some of the recently released files, the former police chief of Palm Beach, in an interview with the FBI, said that Trump called him in 2006 and essentially said, reportedly said, thank goodness you're stopping Epstein, and also suggesting that everyone knew about Epstein's activities. The White House also argues that by releasing millions of files, it's committed to transparency and has done more for the victims and survivors than previous administrations. But as we've been discussing, Errol, and reporting, a number of survivors and lawmakers still aren't satisfied, saying that many more files are being withheld. They're also unhappy with the redaction, saying some individuals' names are being protected, they claim, and argue that other names, victims' names, are being exposed. We also know that Congressman Thomas Massie has been pushing for the release of some past DOJ memos that detailed decisions on whether to charge Epstein and associates. He is still pushing for those. As for the Clintons, you heard former Secretary Clinton allude to it. She is soon going to appear before the House Oversight Committee behind closed doors for a deposition, even though she's been pushing to make it public. Those depositions.
Why don't you think they will not make it public? There's something to that, guys. Why can't Clinton why would Pat Bondi be allowed to speak publicly, but then Clinton can't? Man, this whole thing is just strange as hell, you know? And so let's go into what's happening on the Senate floor with this whole thing with the Epstein. Let's go.
Biggs, Mr. Biggs, 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would just point out, the previous speaker was talking about peeling back so the public can see. what goes on in a committee. I mean, I just came from another committee where we were talking about massive fraud around the country and in particular in Minnesota. And I'm glad that 2 Democrats could find time out of their busy schedule to even attend that hearing. What a shame. What a shame. So when someone says, what is in the files so bad? I'll ask this question. What is in the files that's so bad that the Democrats for 4 years, when they had control of this committee, didn't release a single document, didn't call a single witness, didn't make any motion. In fact, for those 4 years, go back and look.
But wasn't Epstein also happening during the Bush era? How come they didn't release it during Bush's era?
Did they ever say anything about Epstein? No, they didn't. But wanting to make it press, wanting to get it on the press, that's why you're making the issue today. Because let's talk about why we need to talk with, do this contempt is because former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton basically strung us along as we were bending over backwards trying to accommodate their schedule. They didn't show up after we finally had to get a subpoena for them. And I have right here, this is just interesting to me. This is a little note written by Mr. Clinton, former President Clinton, to Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday. Jeffrey, happy 50th. It's reassuring, isn't it, to have lasted as long across all the years of learning and knowing, adventures and, no illegible word, and also to have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends. He rode on that plane many times. He was apparently close friends with him. Jeffrey Epstein claims that, and I don't know if we should believe anything Epstein says for sure, but I mean, Epstein says that he helped set up and fund the Clinton Foundation, and former President Clinton in his note. I mean, this is what he wants. He doesn't want to come in and testify. He wants to do the same thing that he did in previous times. Just, okay, we're going to send a little note that ought to do it. He says something to the effect that he spent significant time in the Clinton Foundation after he left the presidency. Well, if Jeffrey Epstein set it up, then there's some reason to ask questions of both he and the former Secretary of State.
So if Epstein actually helped to set up the Clinton Foundation and they're willing to go live with this and ask questions live, why won't they allow them to ask the questions live? And why does it have to be a private hearing?
Given a subpoena, it was a lawfully issued subpoena by a standing committee. By the way, I happened to be at that subcommittee hearing. I was there when every Democrat voice voted that out. Nobody objected and said they didn't want him to be subpoenaed. But he was subpoenaed and he didn't show up. So here we are. And with Mr. Chairman, I'll yield time to you if you need it.
I appreciate it. I think that everything that needs to be pointed out, we've pointed out. So I will.
Then I'll yield, sir.
Okay. Chair, any other member seek recognition?
Right. It's a
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and the ranking member, and I particularly want to underscore the ranking member's opening statement, and that was that oversight Democrats want the truth about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and accountability for everyone involved. He said, and I agree, we want transparency, we want the facts, and above all, we want this committee to use its oversight tools in a serious and responsible way. I would be remiss if I did not thank on behalf of all of us the efforts of Representative Ro Khanna of this committee and Representative Massey. Thank God they stood in the way of things and took the heat to get the discharge petition up and voted on. And I want to also point out something that I think is important, and that is consistencies, Mr. Chairman. The action that the majority has been proposing today departs from this committee's established practices, including its long-time standing acceptance of written testimony and the level of accommodation this committee has traditionally required before proceeding to criminal contempt, not civil, criminal contempt. I'm glad, as the ranking member has stated, that the Clintons have agreed to testimony and to a transcript and to meet. I agree also that that meeting should not be taking place in New York. It sends the wrong reason for anybody that gets something from this committee. They should come to the committee. It's just that plain and simple. But it departs in many instances with the way this committee has moved on. And I say,
why is the interview in New York? There's a lot of weird things going on. It's like they're just moving things around into certain areas. The whole thing is just really sketchy to me. I don't understand. She asked for a live hearing. Let her have her live hearing. Ask the hard questions. Get the real information. If you had the Clinton thing and he was the person that bought, that had purchased this thing. Let's get into it. They willing to do it. Let's let it happen. Why do they want to hide? It's because there's other interests going on. It's other people that's involved, other people's handshakes going on. But let's go into this whole thing, because a lot of MAGA influencers right now are publicly like speaking out against MAGA. Let's go.
Everybody knows his presidency is toast. And when you get into the MAGA movement, there are different segments of it. There's like the rich, we've got FU money, but we're going to be submissive to this old man so that we can not pay taxes and get government contracts. You have that group. Then you have just the, rural base, redneck cultists. And then you have all of the people on the online trolls. And within that group, it's fissure city. I mean, they are all saying, we have to have a career after this. And I've always been concerned about what Trump is incubating. What is MAGA incubating right now, and how much worse is it going to be? Well, Nick Fuentes, who is a self-confessed neo-Nazi, one of the worst human beings on the planet, apparently gay, but homophobic. I mean, you get it, like a total Freudian catastrophe. Here he is on Trump right now. Play the clip.
My message in 26, you could take it or leave it. Don't vote. Don't vote. Do not vote in the midterms. The Republicans have to lose. They have to lose. They have to crash and burn. A cleansing fire is the only thing that will save us. It cannot be fixed. Fuck them. Fuck Trump. Fuck MAGA. Fuck all this stuff. It can't be fixed. If it could have been fixed, it would have been fixed in 2025, but it wasn't. They made every mistake. Liberation Day, disaster. Doge, disaster. Big Beautiful Bill, disaster.
Man, what? So now you got he is going in on this whole thing. What is happening with MAGA? What is happening? It's that he has America first. What is happening? Why is MAGA turning in on itself, right? But at the same time, they say, "Oh, you just only playing liberal news." Well, honey, Nick Fuentes is not a liberal. He's conservative. He's a nationalist. And he's turning against it.
Epstein files, disaster. Iran, disaster. The personnel, Mike Waltz, disaster. Ratcliffe, disaster. Rubio, disaster. Pam Bondi, disaster. All self-inflicted. Trump personnel, Trump policy, Trump strategy, Trump playbook. We tried it your way. It didn't work. Fuck you. Now we don't vote. Wow. That's the message. Seriously. Can't blame anybody else. Bad advice, bad advisors, Biden's economy. Enough already. It didn't work. We're not voting. I'm staying home. And you know what? I hope the Democrats impeach him. I hope the Democrats impeach all of them. I hope they indict everybody. I hope they depose and compel the release of documents. And I hope they find all the criminals.
Wow. He is taking a complete turn. What's going on here?
All of them. I hope they indict everybody. I hope they depose and compel the release of documents. And I hope they find all the criminal behavior. And I hope it destroys the GOP. I hope it creates a crisis for the GOP so severe.
Wasn't he just on Epstein's side like just a week ago? This is crazy. Like, what is going on?
That they never recover. And then I hope we get a fucking Nazi to run in 28. And
okay, so as you can see, number one, Trump is so unpopular. He's even unpopular with the neo-Nazis right now. Number two, the fact that Nick Fuentes has this optimistic view of a pit bull-like Democratic Party, because that shows you the way they act, the way they think. Indictment. It's objectively obvious that all of these people should be indicted. It's objectively obvious that the Republican Party should be torn to the ground. What he's banking on here is that the Democrats do those, and they would do a soft serve version of those things. And then it would incubate, because Democratic policies move so slowly and so incrementally and favor corporate donors so much, that it would incubate a neo-Nazi candidate. Trump's worse than W, and so on. Who's going to be worse than Trump? Is it going to be a Nick Fuentes, a Nazi? If the Democrats don't get serious about getting rid of corporate donations and servicing corporations more than they do their citizens, this will be incubated.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, it's worse looking forward. One thing that I found interesting about Nick Fuentes and his rant is I hear all the time from MAGA people in real life and see online. Everybody gives a pass to Trump for all of his terrible appointments, for all of his terrible policies. Well, it wasn't his, it was Stephen Miller's. Well, Pam Bondi didn't want to release the files. It's not Trump. And so what I see from him is he is actually holding Trump accountable that yes, Trump is supposed to be in charge of all these decisions, personnel, policy. If he puts idiots around him, it's because he too is an idiot. So I thought that was interesting. In addition to, he is a deplorable person. There's no question, but he is so ingrained in the MAGA, in a set of the MAGAsphere. It's terrifying.
But I would point out that in every other world on the planet, the president is responsible for the president's decisions.
Of course.
It's only the MAGA cultists. So even a neo-Nazi piece of shit like Nick Fuentes points out the obvious. It is the MAGA cultists that have there's something inside everybody that is MAGA felt something at some point in the last 11 years that was not favorable towards this man, that was stomach turning towards Donald Trump. But they went ahead and capitulated to their worst human urges instead of listening to their intuition. And this collectively broke millions of Americans, and it's broken all of these people surrounding Trump. It is a what I call MAGA psychosis. And in any other world, if there's a CEO of a company and there's a bunch of fuckery below that, the CEO, the buck stops with him. In the former Republican Party, the buck stopped with that guy. This is a cult. And so even Nick Fuentes, a neo-Nazi, he's not going to play this patty cake, oh, it's Pam Bondi's fault, because it's so stupid. That only exists within the cult. No other planet, no other human being with a triple-digit IQ, 100 or higher, would ever even come to the conclusion that somehow Trump was not responsible for the absolute abject failure that is his second term. We had zero job growth in 2025. That all falls on Trump and all of his decisions. Okay, next up, we have top MAGA podcaster, and one of Trump's loudest cheerleaders says, I'm done. I've never seen so many fucking lies. Play the clip.
Been pretty quiet about Pam Bondi in front of Congress the other day, talking about how the Dow's up to 50,000. Nobody gives a fuck, because what you should be talking about is how you are going to investigate and prosecute any pedophiles that were running around on Epstein Island that you're affiliated with. But we didn't talk about that, did we? Oh, and what's the excuse? What was the excuse? Oh, if we prosecute everybody, the whole system would go down. Well, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like how Trump ran his campaign. Let's drain the swamp. Doesn't that sound a lot like draining the swamp? It actually is drain the swamp served up to you on a fucking silver platter. But you're not going to take it, are you? You're going to protect pedophiles. Rather than go after them and hope that everybody's happy that the Dow hit 50,000. Are you fucking out of your mind? I guess the whole drain the swamp campaign promise was another fucking bullshit lie, huh? Man, the lies are stacking up fast. I've never seen so many fucking lies appear in a year?
This is going to be the frustrating part about having seen what he was from the jump.
Right.
That even these people who actively, campaigned for him and helped with his lies, that somehow kept this thing that Trump is this brilliant businessman and he's so patriotic. What's that guy's name? Sean Ryan or Pat Ryan or something?
Yeah, I think it's Sean Ryan.
Sean Ryan. So, they all participated in these lies. And I don't think it's going to be helpful to do. And I've told you so shit. And that's something all of us here in this community, it's going to be a very difficult thing to not do. But they all see it. He's a lame duck. He has dementia. He is best friends with a pedophile and more than likely probably a pedophile himself.
Well, and it's just, here's the thing. We go back to when Trump first came down the escalator. It was drain the swamp. I'm a businessman, and everybody thought because of The Apprentice that in fact he was a good businessman. And then you find out he's a con from start to finish. This man is a con. So I have been so focused on the protection of pedophiles and how women have been treated and sexually abused and adjudicated rapists. Now we have Epstein survivors coming out saying he participated. I'd kind of forgotten about the drain the swamp. And really, when you think about it, I mean, they believed, because they didn't go, there's a sect of the population that was so rah-rah Trump. I mean, I think it was racism, but that's not what we're talking about. But
that's what I'm talking about. It was racism. When he said drain the swamp, it was drain all the black people and all the people that were of black, colored people out of their jobs. 300,000 black women losing their jobs to help drain the swamp of what? The black people. And now that he's got all the black people like struggling or whatever, now he's opening up more concentration camps. ICE is getting more and more off the chain, whatever. And people are just like wondering, okay, what are we going to do? Let's get into what Jane Elliott said, because she warned about this entire thing before it even happened. We have some people that predicted all of this stuff. You had David Icke predicted Epstein. You had Jane Elliott warn MAGA would collapse. Let's go.
Educate yourself, because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made all... Everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lot. Well, I'm a third grade teacher in a country school in Riceville, Iowa, and I am here at the NAACP speaking because the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by a society that hated him because he was going to change the economic situation in this country, I did an exercise in discrimination with my third grade classroom to let my little third graders, all white, all Christian children, find out how it feels to be something other than white in the United States of America. I split them according to the color of their eyes and treated those who had their own color eyes for the day the way we have traditionally treated blacks, Native Americans, Asians, all those Jews, all those who are different in appearance or in religion. And we learned more that day than I wanted to know.
What did that study show you?
Oh, it showed me a lot of things. Number one, it showed me that racism is a learned response. Nobody's born a bigot. You have to teach bigotry, and that's what we do in this country. I found out how it feels to be on the receiving end of racism because I'm blue-eyed, and the brown-eyed children were on the top in that first day. And I found out how it feels to be treated badly by people over whom you have power because of having the wrong color eyes. I found out how it feels to be subjected to unbelievable and unreal discrimination because of a physical characteristic over which I had no control. I thought I knew about racism. I thought I knew about child psychology. I knew nothing.
And when it really boils down to it, this whole administration is attacking, right now they're focused on the immigrants, the Mexicans, and this, that, the other, but it's only a matter of time till this whole thing turns in on us. And we want to pretend, we want to say, oh no, I'm a conservative, and we want to take on this whole conservative thing. But yeah, you could be conservative, but to actually take on the white supremacist mindset is crazy to me. When you hear people that'll sit up here and be up here just clapping for. I mean, yes, Trump, he used to be down back in the day and he did this and he did that. But what's he doing right now? Let's go.
Liberalism is almost as dangerous as the fascist movement itself.
Let's talk about the media, specifically the role that legacy media has played in the first year of Trump 2.0.
We've seen the change of leadership at CBS. We've seen people like Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon and the Washington Post, at Trump's inauguration. Major outlets are settling what many would call spurious lawsuits with Donald Trump, making him lots of money. How complicit is legacy media with the Trump administration and its current crackdown?
Pretty complicit. And I watched the kind of daily debacles at CBS closely with sheer delight because Bari Weiss, who's been appointed the news director, is a human hand grenade. A lot of this had to do with the coverage of the genocide, and CBS, like all the legacy media, could not amplify Israeli Hasbara lies fast enough. But in the eyes of really fervent Zionists like Weiss or Larry Ellison, who bought CBS, they weren't obsequious enough. But what they're doing is destroying what little credibility they had left. The legacy media no longer examines power in any serious way. I think, I'm an old school newspaper, New York Times reporter, not the New York Times. We can spend a whole other show critiquing the Times, but it's the collapse of the media system. And of course, along with it has come the collapse of their credibility and their viewership, and rightly so. And people are seeking out alternative forms of information. I have a Substack, and lots of other people have essentially walked out of, I used to come out of the mainstream, walked out of the mainstream to continue to do the kind of work that we think is important. So yeah, the media has been, even though you have a deep hostility in places like CNN towards Trump, they will attack Trump as a figure, but they actually won't attack the corporate system or the oligarchic class that is behind Trump because they're owned by them.
And it's not just legacy media that we need to be having a conversation about. I'm thinking about companies like TikTok, whose U.S. Operations came under U.S. control earlier this year through that forced sale to a consortium that includes Trump allies. Very quickly, we start to hear conversations, complaints, even about editorial censorship. Against the backdrop of this kind of media landscape, should we be worried?
Yeah, they're shutting down the media. So they're going after the alternative media, shadow banning. So I have, anytime I do a show on Gaza, on the genocide, I'm immediately demonetized on YouTube. And that is just a kind of reminder. If you want to make any money off of you, they still run ads, so I guess they get to keep it. So they're more and more intrusive, as you pointed out with TikTok. And so now they're going after the alternative media as well.
Oh yeah, I'm shadow banned as we speak. 8 people in the chat. I'm shadow banned. They done finally done figured out my thing, and enough people have downloaded my videos, and I'm currently shadow banned. Ain't that crazy? I had 800 people download a short of mine, but it's okay because I'm gonna keep trucking. You know what I'm saying? But let's go.
As we talk about the media, I'm thinking about the newest revelations about Epstein. Lots of names have come up. Lots of powerful people have been implicated. Lots of questions have been raised. What are you making of this?
Well, I read some of the emails, which are kind of fascinating because it's a window into the big club. And it doesn't matter whether you're a philanthropist or the president of Harvard, like Larry Summers, or David Copperfield, or they're all
Noam Chomsky.
Noam, yeah, I don't know what Noam's a friend. I don't know what Noam was doing there, but it's a big club, which you and I are not in.
For sure.
And it's awash in money and awash in power, and it is by its nature abusive. It objectifies those outside the club, including, of course, girls and women.
When the roots of a tree begin to rot, the branches may still look green, but the fall is already decided. Where I come from, there's termite, a specific kind of ant that eats wood and it eats organic substances. Sometimes you plant your tree, your very beautiful avocado tree or a mango tree. It crawls at night like a thief. It comes and eats the roots. So you're always watering the plant thinking that it's growing healthy. But no, it's dying. It's dying, even though the leaves are green. It is hedges. He's warning about the United States, that beneath the surface of economic growth, technological power, and patriotic rhetorics lies a system slowly collapsing under corruption, inequality, and moral decay. In several interviews and lectures, especially when discussing America's decline and scandals, such as the Epstein case, Chris Hedges argues that these are not isolated problems. They are symptoms of a deeper systemic failure. So in a interview that was held by Al Jazeera, the brother, Chris Hedges, was able to give a correlation between the failing of the American empire and Epstein files. You see, we are living in the times of revelation. Your celebrities, your crushes, all of those people who you adored, they were so evil. I want us to listen to him, gather what he says, and then we shall deconstruct his interview, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis on the things he will be discussing.
I'm referring to a book, Discourses on Colonialism by Aimé Césaire, where he talks about the mechanisms that imperial powers use to subjugate those abroad. He talks about the way the French repressed the Algerians, or the British repressed the population in India, or the way the imperial powers oppressed the blacks in Africa. And he said that eventually the building of that machinery of repression migrates back. And he's referring specifically to the rise of fascism in Germany, and that the mechanisms that the Gestapo and the fascist brown shirts used in Germany was not unfamiliar to anyone who had suffered under British colonialism or French colonialism or German colonialism, of course, in modern day Namibia with the genocide of the Herero and the Namakwa. So, and that's also a point that Thucydides makes with the rise of the Athenian Empire and the decline of Athenian democracy. Thucydides writes that the tyranny that Athens imposed on others, it finally imposed on itself. And that is precisely what we are seeing as the empire hollows itself out. The tools of subjugation that are intimately familiar to Palestinians, for instance, migrate back to the homeland. That's militarized police, wholesale surveillance. And then
here's the thing, is at the same time all this is going on, Iran is talking about war. We're talking about war. About like nuclear war, guys. Nuclear war. That's what they're talking about. Oh my God. I had to take a break yesterday because I was like, it gets so sad to just talk about how this whole thing.
I'm really believing in that Jeffrey Epstein actually deleted himself, that he's actually dead. We've actually seen, I showed you the facial comparison of Ghislaine Maxwell at her last hearing on the 9th of this month, where it's not the same person. Everyone is now talking about that because it's not. The face does not match up at all. Right. And then also there's these photos of Epstein being put out right when the files drop. I think some of it was AI. I think some of it's real, but you have to understand they are always looking to deceive us. They always want to, confuse the masses. Chaos out of order. What did Littlefinger always say in Game of Thrones? Chaos is a ladder, but that is a principle that they hold true to. And we're not talking about just the government. We're talking about the principalities, those who run this earth, who run this world, as the Bible says. But along with that, some people may say, well, that's just speculation, that, there's no really concrete proof. We don't have people can look at the pictures they put out of him on the stretcher and see that did not look like him. The ears didn't match. Yeah, we could see that they happened to the day he deleted himself. Well, then, the cameras just malfunctioned and stopped working. The officers there, they just happened to fall asleep. And so, they fake the records of going to go check on him. We see, guys, the list goes on and on. We know that they actually put a fake video. The Department of Justice took a video from YouTube, a fake video, put it in the Epstein files as though this was real footage. And once people realize, hey, this is a video from YouTube, this is fake, well, then they just deleted it and act like it never happened. I actually have a video of someone screenshotting, going to look at that video on the Department of Justice website and filming it. And then once people started talking about this, they were called out about it. Well, then they suddenly, it's gone now. It's deleted. And we're seeing that as more people are calling out things that I think they didn't mean to put out. Well, now once they find out, what are they doing? Well, they're going backtracking and deleting that footage. Right. And we also know, guys, only 2% of the files have been put out. I kid you not, only 2%, 300 gigabytes, where the total number that they've done the investigations of, Channel 4 over in the UK, they did a deep dive investigating, and they've seen that originally it's supposed to be 40 to 50 terabytes of files. But then later on in emails, they said we have settled on about 15 terabytes. But yet they've only put out 300 gigabytes, which equals to about 2%. So they're hiding a lot, but things are sloppy and things are slipping out. But this right here, guys, I don't know how they're going to explain this away. They probably won't even respond to it, but this is something you need to see because I think it definitively proves that Epstein did not die in 2019, as they've told us. So this is from the Epstein files. I'll show at the end, I'll show you the file number if you want to go and look at this for yourself. They have not taken this down yet, but this is from July 6th of 2021. Now you can see these are like officials talking from the Department of Health and Human Services. Okay. The Office of the Inspector General. Now I'm going to go to the bottom because, with emails, they start at the bottom and you might be shocked at what you're about to see. I cannot make it any bigger. It would just like the way it's formatted. It won't fit on the screen any better, but hopefully, guys, trust me, I'll give you the file number so you can see it for yourself. So let's start at the very bottom. So it says here, I'm going to read it. I'm going to be looking over here because this screen is bigger. This one's so tiny, and I want to be able to give you exactly what it says. So as you can see, names have been redacted, but they did not redact the U.S. Department of Justice. So this is the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Justice, people from those two agencies that are talking back and forth. All right, now look at what they have to say. It says, "Hi, blank, hope you and your family had a great 4th. I know you've got a lot going on this week, but I spoke with blank and he has no problem with our team debriefing Epstein regarding the Schatz et al. Guys, look at this. I know you have a lot going on this week, but I spoke with blank and he has no problem with our team debriefing Epstein. How are you debriefing Epstein in 2021 when he was supposedly died 2 years earlier? Oh, there's more.
Agent.
Okay. So I think this is an initial. That's why it's so short, that little part.
CIA, bro.
But right here, starting off, have no problem with our team debriefing Epstein. This is in the Epstein files. The subject is Epstein, meaning Jeffrey Epstein. According to the Department of Justice, because this email is from the Department of Justice, I believe to Health and Human Services, they are saying, the DOJ is saying right here in this email that their team needs to debrief him. Do you have his counsel's contact, meaning his lawyer? And would you be able to dial into a debrief anytime this week? Our team can handle the report and make sure you get a copy. What? So not only are they debriefing him, they want to set up and this person needs a contact with his counsel. I guess the counsel he has now. Guys, this is wild. This is wild. Let's go up. All right. So the response is, they blocked out the whole name. The response is, I can do anytime tomorrow or Thursday morning. Friday is bad. Thursday works for me.
Right.
Blank, are you on Arizona time this week? If so, what does morning mean for you this week? LOL. Friday, I am on Arizona time through next week. Smiley face. So morning is same as you all Thursday. Exclamation point. Epstein does live in Colorado. So he is 2 hours behind, though he has jumped on calls as early as 9 a.m. Eastern in the past. My only other thing Thursday is a debrief at 2 p.m. Thursday. So according to the government, in the Epstein files is a real document. They are saying that he lives in Colorado and that they've done other calls with him as well.
What?
Is this not wild? Response. I have a debrief scheduled for Thursday at 1 p.m. too. FYI. And it says, and then they say, oops, me too, at 1 p.m., same one, LOL. So I don't know if this is 3 people because this person says it and then the next person says, oops, yeah, me too. Or is that him responding, oops, yeah, I have one.
Man, what the hell? So he's a lie. So Epstein's a lie. They're talking about this on official government emails with each other.
Not just at 2, I have one at 1 p.m. as well. What are we saying here, folks? Look, this is the file number. EFTA 01656-140. This is in the files.
Is there anybody else named Epstein that maybe we're talking about? We could be talking about?
Either they purposely put it out because they want us to know that he's still alive, which is what they did with Ghislaine Maxwell and putting out that sloppy central casting person that was supposed to be her, if we've seen that. But now look at, or maybe they're just so sloppy, they're inundated because, again, if there's 15 terabytes of data that they've narrowed down, but only releasing 300 gigabytes, well, it would make sense that the government will make a lot of mistakes. If we know the government is not the most efficient, they are, even on the first batch that was put out, instead of it being blocked out, people could actually, it was just kind of like a highlight on top. So people were just copying it and pasting it and putting it into Microsoft, and then the block out would disappear. But with this one, it doesn't work with this one. They actually made sure that it was there this time. But now they let this slip through. And again, I will never say, oh, it was an accident. They didn't mean to do it. Possibly. But again, I also think they're trying to create a lot of chaos and confusion. And they want people looking every which way because they are doing other things behind the scenes. They have things going on, especially I've told you about the nearly 20 laws that are being legislated this month. No one's talking about it, that will effectively end freedom of speech and force us to get digital ID. And that's just the federal level. There's state level laws, one that has passed in Florida, and that are doing almost kind of like a redundancy. So even if something doesn't pass in the federal level, well, it's going to pass in the state. Now, to drive this point home, there's a lot of things I can get into, but I want you to look. This is Epstein alive, right? You see on the left, and then Epstein dead on the right. Okay, look at the ear shape. Completely different ears. But it's not just the ears. Let's go up here. Look at the nose. Completely different nose shape. And I actually have a better picture to show the nose shape. So as you can see here, Epstein alive on the right. That's him supposedly on the gurney, dead on the left. Who is that? You're telling me that's Epstein? That's laying there with that same nose? Makes you think of what we reported on with Ghislaine. Look at her. Let me move this down for you. Look at how the face changes. I'll just keep it right here. Look at the chin. Look at the nose. That's not weight. That's not sodium. That's not age. That causes, we've gone over the details. She has a monolid here. She has a double eyelid. The ears are detached in that picture. They're attached in this one. The nose is narrow and comes to a point. It's wide with no point. Her philtrum is longer in that one. It's shorter in this one. The chin, look at the chin, is short and blunt. This one is pointed.
That's the CIA stuff. They like do.
So you want to tell me those are the same people? And now that we have this, and that is, guys, that is from Ghislaine Maxwell on February 9th, an official congressional hearing that she reported to. Right now, people are also trying to do voice analysis on it, which I will follow up with it. But I'm sorry. Either they want us to know that they are, that Ghislaine is not in prison, that this was all a farce, or they, and that Jeffrey is not dead. Or I don't know, they're just being sloppy. I don't think they're being sloppy because they know everyone is paying attention to this. Everyone is digging through this stuff. I think a lot of what is going on is psychological conditioning for us to just see that nothing will happen to these people. who have raped and eaten our babies, who have done the most heinous things. And guys, I have some very dark things that have come out in the files that I don't even know if I want to report it on the main thing, because I just having that out there, just talking about some of these details, it's so grotesque. We've already known a lot of it, but it's just actually detailed report from a 6-year-old girl make you just want to just crawl in a hole and die. But we cannot. We have to see these things. We have to understand what is going on. We have been under a great deception for a long time. If you want to go head over to Melanie Reacts, that link will be below. I just posted a video about the ice wall for the first time, being able to film it just this week for the first time. And for the first time, someone was allowed to live stream from the ice wall there in Antarctica. And guess what? The ice is not white, it's blue, which is something, it is a special kind of ice, which if you want to get into those details and how it relates to the firmament, I have a whole detailed thing about it over there. But this was live streamed. The guy's name is Ice Poseidon, I believe. And I have another group from Ghana that has been gone down there. They've been putting up videos and showing the ice wall for the first time. We've never been this close. And guess what just happened? There is a giant hole, like a cave in the ice wall that the people are saying that just appeared like 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago for the first time. They don't know where it came from. It's not man-made, but this hole was not there previously. Why are they allowing us to see this truth? Even if it's just partial. Why is that? Because I believe they know their days are numbered and that at any moment Jesus Christ is returning. Guys, the signs are everywhere. They're everywhere. Okay, every prophecy in the Bible has come to pass. They are building the third temple. I have an update for that. I'm going to be doing that over on Melanie Reacts. I want to kind of stick to kind of the Epstein things and combing through some of these other issues over here. And over there, I'm going to be showing you there's some signs and wonders in the sky that we are commanded by Jesus Christ himself to look for. And that when you see these things, know that he is returning at any moment. Like the hour of his return is here. We are commanded, no man knows the day or the hour, but we are told to know the season. And Jesus specifically tells us to know it and to look for those signs. That is why this is all important. So if you take one thing in isolation, 2 things, 5 things, 10 things, maybe, everybody thought Jesus was returning. No. In the past, they may have thought it, but now we have definitive proof of all of these things. I mean, when I tell you, in the history of the world, we have never seen the things that we're seeing. The history of the world, we've never seen revealed to the masses, our government and leaders and the politicians and celebrities and leaders of corporations. Well, they're part of a satanic cabal that does this to our children. Breeder farms was looking at the DNA manipulation, things that were just conspiracy theory, or they're coming out in the Epstein files all right now. While all the digital ID is coming to lock us down. Like we are in the last days. Just last night, I was just begging the Lord, please come back, please return, because what is to come next, guys, through tribulation after the rapture, you do not want to be here for that. I promise you. What you think is bad or has ever happened, I've told you 200 million of Satan's hell riders will be coming out of the pit of hell and will kill 1/3 of the earth. I've told you that there will be giant locusts that will feed on you and you cannot die, but they're not locusts. Okay, the way to describe is what you see in all the ancient carvings, these beings that existed before. They are demonic hybrid beings that are Nephilim.
You know what I would say? Wouldn't this be? So it's one thing. Okay, let's talk about the Bible right quick. Okay. So now she's talking about the ice wall. When this ice melts, okay, you don't know what the hell. The bottomless pit, all these things. Now, I'm not a Christian, but I will say this, is that they said there's this huge hole at the top of Antarctica. And you don't know what is going to come up out of that hole, that bottomless pit that they talk about from the depths of like the center of the earth. I'm going to do a show. I'm going to end this one. I'm going to go into some of this ice wall stuff, this Antarctica stuff, because I'm shadow banned on this one. I said Hillary Clinton on my picture, and honey, they blocking anybody from being able to see this video. I'm gonna talk about the ice wall. You know, y'all win. What up? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop this one. It's been an hour, and then we're gonna get into the ice wall.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah, yeah, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you.